Excellent morning to each and every one of you. I want to welcome you to today's session. Bienvenue, my French audience would say. Welcome you to the very last day of the month of October. My name is Oladapo Onodipe. I'm a medical doctor. I'm an eye specialist. I'm also a digital entrepreneur, and I'm a mindset coach. And every Friday, I bring forth the spiritual side of success. So you are all welcome. Sorry, I've not been able to connect for about 2 weeks now. I really apologize. It's been a very hectic period, but the show has to go on. Andre, you're welcome from Slovenia. Kate from Wales. Sorry, seem to have some things there, but it's okay. Let's go on. So today we're going to talk about being a friend in the marketplace. Being a friend in the marketplace. And that will be from Mark chapter 2, verse 1 to 12. Being a friend in the marketplace. Mark 2, 1 to 12. I'm going to read from the King James Version. So if you're ready, let's go. Mark 2, verse 1 says, "And again he entered into Capernaum after some days, and it was noised that he was in the house. And straightway many were gathered together, insomuch that there was no room to receive them. No, not so much as about the door. And he preached the word unto them. And they came unto him, bringing one sick of the palsy, which was born of 4. And when they could not come nigh unto him for the press, they uncovered the roof where he was. And when he had broken it up, they let down the bed wherein the sick of the palsy lay." Verse 5. "When Jesus saw their faith, he said unto the sick of palsy, Son, thy sins be forgiven thee. But there was certain of the scribes sitting there and reasoning in their hearts, Why does this man thus speak blasphemies? Who can forgive sin but God only? And immediately, when Jesus perceived in his spirit that they so reasoned within themselves, he said unto them, Why reason ye these things in your hearts? Whether it's easier to say to the sick of the palsy, Thy sins be forgiven thee, or to say, Arise and take up thy bed and walk. But that ye may know that the Son of Man has power on earth to forgive sins. He said to the sick of the palsy, I say unto thee, Arise, take up thy bed, and go thy way into thy house. And immediately he arose, took up the bed, and went forth before them all, insomuch that they were all amazed and glorified God, saying, We never saw it on this fashion." So I want to welcome you to today's session, which is on being a friend in the marketplace. Today's story describes a situation in which Jesus was, in a place. A lot of people thronged there in order to be able to hear him and also to benefit from, being healed. of whatever condition that they had. And there was this particular man who was paralyzed. They didn't tell us for how long, but he had friends that were willing to help him to, take him to Jesus. However, they had a challenge. And that challenge was that when they got to the venue of the meeting, there was no space for them to get into. And so they were stranded outside with the crowd. What an obstacle, what a challenge. And you see, in life, we face different challenges also. But what kind of attitude or mindset do you have when you face challenges? Is it one of throwing your hands in the air and telling yourself, oh, I've tried my best, there's nothing I can do? Or is it one of, pushing further and seeing how that door can give way? Yeah, when you see an obstacle, it's like a wall. And for most people, once they see the wall, they turn back. But for somebody, who is determined to go forth, he either breaks the wall or scales over it. And it is those people who are able to go that extra mile that life ultimately rewards. And so as they got there, I'm sure they evaluated the situation. They looked at it. For this our friend to be healed, we have to go beyond the normal or, the ordinary. We have to be ready to do the impossible so that the improbable will happen. And so they braced themselves up. And after evaluating the situation, they told themselves, guys, the only way our friend is going to be healed is for us to climb to the roof, open the roof, and drop him right at the center. Because if we do this, that will definitely catch the attention of Jesus. Can you imagine to what extent they were willing to go for a friend? While others will have backed out and said, well, we've done our best, guy. Today is just not your day. We've brought you to the venue, but look at the crowd. There's nothing we can do. It's so easy for us to make excuses. Oh, this, that. The reason I'm poor is because, my father was poor, my grandfather was poor, my great-grandfather was poor. The reason I'm not, educated is because there was no school in my village, and the next place where I could go to school is so kilometers away. The reason why this, we have ways of justifying our excuses. And we paint it and shine it so very well so that anybody that sees the excuse will say, oh, this guy, there was nothing he could do. But ladies and gentlemen, excuses are the language of fools. And so his friends were not willing to make excuses for the situation. His friends were practical. They wanted a solution to the problem. And so they were willing to take the bull by the horn. And so there and then they climbed up, probably got a ladder. Don't forget, their friend was paralyzed. So he couldn't move. I can begin to imagine, their mindset, how they struggled to get this man who was paralyzed. They probably used ropes to tie to the bed. and then pulled him up. You know how heavy that would be? You know how uncomfortable that would be? You know, they are standing on the roof on top. You know, they could slip, they could fall. They took a great risk for this, their friend. And in business and in life, if you are only looking for the easy way out, I'm sorry, you may not see the kind of success you're looking for. So they were not perturbed by all the challenges. They put in the shifts, and they were eventually able to pull the man to the top. Then, I don't know what kind of roof they had. Maybe asbestos, maybe zinc, maybe tattered roof made with palm fronds or whatever. But there was a roof which showed a physical barrier. And they were able to remove that physical barrier. Maybe there was a ceiling also that was still an obstacle. So they went through various levels of obstacles. But it started in the mind. They told themselves it was possible. And because they told themselves in the mind it was possible, no physical barrier was big enough to stop them. For a lot of us, in our mind, we've already been defeated. In our mind, we've already lost it. So when we now start doing the physical things, we're just going through motions. We don't even believe we can win. We don't believe we can succeed. We're just doing it to fulfill all righteousness. And that will make you win in the battles of life. That will make you win, you know, in the journey of life. What will make you win is that you are ready to go, you know, the whole hog. You are ready to go the 9th mile. You are ready to, you know, move and take action. And it starts with you knowing that you can win in your mind. And so they told themselves, we're going to make this thing happen. They believed it in their minds, and then they took action. And when obstacles came, they were not bothered. They were stepping stones to their success. Ladies and gentlemen, what do you tell yourself in life? What do you say to yourself in the secret place? When you are alone, what are those things that you envisage that is not possible for you to do? When you say that, that becomes your reality. But when you tell yourself it's possible, then you begin to take action. And look at it. Eventually, they dropped the man right in the center of the room. And of course, that attracted the attention of Jesus. And so, Jesus forgave the man his sins because he is God. And then he also healed the man. And I can imagine how his friends will have felt being, you know, able to have helped their friend to have been healed, finding a solution to his problems. Oh, those are friends. And I'm telling you, being a friend in the marketplace is not a walk in the park. Because if you are a friend in need and a friend indeed, at times you're going to get, you know, you're going to suffer because of your friendship. You're going to get hurt because you are a friend. But at the end, if you are a reliable friend, Proverbs 18:24 says, there is a friend that sticks closer than a brother. Are you that friend? that sticks closer than a brother? Or are you a fair weather friend? Adversity, challenges will show the kind of friend that you are. Because for some, when challenges come, all they do is run away. And meanwhile, they've been making noise. Oh, I'm your friend. I'm your good neighbor. Oh, I'm this, I'm that. But when challenges come, that's when we know who a true friend is. And, you know, I remember some years ago, while I was still in the university, I mean, I graduated 25 years ago now, so you can imagine how long ago I'm talking about. And by the way, shout out to my classmates. Next week, we'll be having a class reunion, 25 years, graduating from the University of Ibadan Medical School. So shout out to all my friends in the university. We will be having a reunion next week. So I'll be so happy to see virtually everyone. And it will be good to reacquaint myself with a lot of my friends that we left medical school together. But I'll share this story to let you know that being a friend, you have to show yourself friendly. So many years ago, while we were in med school, we wrote an exam in obstetrics and gynecology. And somehow, I don't know how, but I ended up having a receipt in that paper. I had a reference. So I needed to receipt the exam in 3 months' time. Obstetrics and gynecology wasn't difficult. It's neighbor exam that we did. We did 2 exams at once, pediatrics, which was about children, and then obstetrics and gynecology, women and childbearing. And the pediatrics was more difficult than the obstetrics and gynecology. And I don't really know what happened. I passed the pediatric, which was the most difficult, and I failed the obstetrics and gynecology. It was strange to me, but I didn't know what. But well, it's happened. Let's go on. So we started preparing for the obstetrics and gynecology. And, you know, we started having group discussions, you know, having tutorials. And so those of us who were preparing, you know, we met much regularly. And I had a friend, I won't call his name. And, you know, I'll just say A, I'll call him A, you know, for the sake of my giving the narrative. So I had a friend A, and he was someone who, you know, we've been together. But one thing was that he was a year my senior previously. But the year before the exam, he didn't pass his exams. And so he had a repeat and joined my own set. He had challenges, financial, and he needed to travel home, you know, during the farming season. So he would go home during the farming season. They would work on the farm. And after harvesting crops, he would need to sell and then use the money, you know, for his studies. So it was really a very tough time for him financially, and then also coping with the stress of medical school. And so now that he had the receipts, so we're now preparing together. And eventually we wrote the exams. And because final year was getting close, which was just 6 months away for us to write our final exams, where there was a lot of apprehension. And I was also eager to know that I had passed so that I could continue preparing for the final exams. So for the first time, I went to check my results before it was officially released. And I had friends who were also lecturers. So I met one of them and told him, could he check my result for me? And he obliged me. It's not something common But being a friend, I think he felt no issues. So he obliged me and, checked my results. And he said I passed. And I was very happy because I could go ahead and prepare, for my finals. But somehow, I now asked the lecturer, please, can you check this, my friend's results? And he was a bit reluctant. And he said, well, if I check it for you, make sure that you don't, no, he was a bit reluctant. Then I think he now checked and saw that, he failed. And then he told me, and he asked me not to inform my friend that he failed. And, I left. But when I left his office, guilt conscience came over me. I was happy I had passed, but I felt, how will I know my friend didn't pass and I didn't tell him? It just didn't sit very well with me, even though my examiner had asked me that I shouldn't tell him. So when I didn't have my peace of mind, I knew that that was not the right thing for me. So I met my friend, and then, we started gisting, and I told him, oh, I've checked my results and I passed. And, that even increased his anxiety. And he said, did you check for mine? Or, we got talking, and I said, so when I had asked, I was told that his continuous assessment was what made him not to pass. So I now asked him that, what happened to your continuous assessments? And he said, well, last year, when I was in the other sets, I didn't pass my continuous assessment. Of course, remember I told you he had to travel home in planting season. And so he didn't get his continuous assessment well in terms of attendance, and then in terms of, evaluating the exams. And so, I now told him that I don't think, so I now told him point blank that I've checked his results, he didn't pass, but I'm aware that it's continuous assessment. And he said no, that he did a continuous assessment with my sets and he passed. That now became a challenge, because as far as he was concerned, if continuous assessment was the problem, he passed continuous assessments. So why should he fail? So at this stage, they now had to go and see the head of departments that day, because the following day was the examiners meeting. And once the result has been ratified at the examiners meeting, ladies and gentlemen, it's like the law of media and pedis. It cannot be repealed. Once they sit on that result, you can't change it. So that very night, my friend A and some other students who knew the head of departments, they went to lay a siege at the HOD's clinic. He had a private clinic in town, so they went to lay siege at his clinic. And so after he had finished running the clinic, he saw his students. Wow, what are you guys doing here? And then, they started speaking. And then they told him, sir, there is a situation, and they explained the situation to him. And the HOD said, no, that's not possible. How did you know? So the HOD said he won't attend to them except they tell him which of his lecturers spilled the beans. Don't forget, I was warned not to say anything. Now it's coming back to me. So they told the HOD the name of the lecturer, and then he said they could go for the night. So the following day, the HOD, I really appreciate that man because he's a very thorough man. He got to his office. He asked the secretary to go and bring the result of these candidates. The result, the continuous assessment, everything. He asked the secretary to go and bring it. And the secretary brought everything. And he looked at it and saw that truly my friend had passed the continuous assessments and shouldn't have failed. What he now discovered was it was the continuous assessment of the previous year which he failed that was used for him instead of the assessment for the present year. And with all these facts, by the time they got to the examiner's meeting, the HOD now made a scapegoat of the lecturer. I feel very bad about that. And, he really, really washed that lecturer down from what I had in that meeting. But because facts don't lie and the facts were before him, that was how my friend now was given his right marks and he passed. And so you can imagine the joy I had in my heart that though, I couldn't respect what I said I would keep to, because when I looked at it, it wasn't right. I did what in my mind was right, and that justified my friend, and that was how my friend passed. And the following year, we graduated from medical school. Ladies and gentlemen, can you see how it is that when you are a friend indeed, it's not a bed of roses? You can get hurt. Other people can get hurt as well. But when you know you are doing the right thing, you are able to stick out your neck irrespective of what happens. And I'm so happy that I can share this story today of something that happened maybe about 26 years ago, and how God used me to be a blessing to that, my friend. So, being a friend in the marketplace, are you one? And that's the question you need to ask yourself. That experience I've shared is in my book, Knocked Down But Not Out. This is a book I wrote this year. It's available on Amazon. And if you like an autographed copy of it, then you can get in touch and I can sign it and send it to you. I presently have some copies in the United Kingdom. And so it can be mailed to you. And so, ladies and gentlemen, are you a friend in the marketplace? Or are you a fair weather friend that when things are going fine, you are there, and when things are not going fine, you deny your friends? Well, you've seen today how 4 friends ensured that their friend who was paralyzed got healed as he encountered Jesus. Are you there and you are not reliable? Well, it's time for you to learn from these 4 friends and from my personal experience, because those you eventually, bless in such manner, they will never forget you. They would always pray for you and they will always wish you well. And, the good thing is also that you may eventually meet someone in front of you who may also be able to pay back that which you have done. And even if it doesn't happen that way, your conscience is clear. Imagine how my conscience will have been if my friend failed. I'm going to say that again. Imagine how I would have felt if my friend failed. And then maybe later on, he has failed. They now got to find out that it was continuous assessment, which could have been rectified. Imagine how I would have felt. Very bad. And what of my friend, failing for the second time? Maybe you'll have become so depressed that he maybe today won't even be a medical doctor. So you never tell how these things work out. But what is most important is being a friend in the marketplace. So I hope, you've had some value today. I hope you've enjoyed today's session. Put on the chat if you've learned 1 or 2 things. Put on the chat if, you've been blessed by today's session. Next week, Friday, we'll be having our class reunion. I'll see if I can, find some time within that to be able to do the spiritual side of success, or at least show you, how our reunion is going. So make sure you stay close and you stay close by. So that's exactly how today's session will be. And I look forward to seeing you at the top. For you know what we say, the bottom is way too crowded. Have a wonderful day. Bye-bye.